good? We are back-to-back days. We are on the channel. What a surprise! It's only the draft that will make me come out here and actually be active. But I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff that we have to talk about. A big day one for a lot of different teams. If you are watching this not live, welcome back to the Holmes Field Advantage. As always, I'm your host, Brett Holmes. Thank you so much for the support on the first, mock draft we did. Already has like 70 views or whatever. It was like, I think it was in like the high 60s, but wherever it's at in the first 24 hours, amazing. Thank you for the support early on that stream. A lot of people coming in and out of the stream. So hopefully we can get some people coming through. I'm going to wait and see if we get anybody else to trickle in. But before we do get started with everything else, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell, and while you're down there, hit the like button as well. Make yourself useful while you are down there. Really big day in the NFL yesterday. We had some major picks, some shockers for sure. Good value picks all around. I feel like there were some picks that we will talk about today. If you're reading the title, you know that we are going over our round 2 mock draft, which we are going to save closer to the end of the stream or to the end of the video if you're watching after the stream. And we're also going to be running through my grades for these day 1 picks. And then overall, probably won't do anything for day 3 just because there is so much. I might stream and go through my favorite picks from day 2. But overall, we are going to be doing a separate stream or separate video where we're going to be going through and grading every single team's draft class. So stay tuned for that. You see what's scrolling down below. It's there for a good reason, and I will get to that shortly. Okay, I think we're all good. Got my protein shake. We are ready. I got repping the last second-round pick that I was actually happy with on day 1, and I continue to be happy with, even though I like Sam Williams. I do like Sam Williams. I like Marshawn Nealon. They can't stay healthy, but repping Trayvon Diggs in the military unis today. I got my protein shake. We're ready to get jacked up on the draft. God, that's so corny. All right. Housekeeping. We have got some things that we need to run through real quick. First off, one of the things down there on the ticker is the lead. You might be wondering what the lead is. This is where I talk about the Cowboys, where I've been talking about the Cowboys when I haven't been up here on YouTube. I went through the picks that I liked at 12. If you wanted to see my thoughts on that, you can go ahead and do that. I also talk about the Wizards now over there and have been doing my work with the Cowboys since about the middle of last season. So plenty of stuff over there on the lead, some great stuff, great people over there. Make sure you go check that out. Also, another thing that I have been very active with, something that I have been enjoying a lot, has got to be what I've been doing over there on Sports Illustrated. If you do not follow me on any of my socials, make sure you do that down below. What's up, Joey? Go over on my Twitter @_Brett Holmes. Make sure you get all of the updates from all the articles that I'm posting. But I am an active writer, and I'm especially active over on SI ever since I've started up. I released my best day 2 fits for all of the Virginia Tech players because I go to Virginia Tech. What do you know? We got a bunch of stuff in here. Tootin, Lane, Strong, Peebles. There's some big players remaining like APR, one of the top sack leaders last year. He's a guy that's going to be coming up likely on day 3. And I'll be talking about recruiting news over there, all sorts of stuff alongside some basketball news as well. I might dabble in some other stuff, but you never know. So make sure you go over there and support the stuff on SI. That is much appreciated. And then lastly, I already mentioned it, but just to make sure that you get it drilled into your brain, go over to X and follow me over on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, @_Brett Holmes. Make sure that's where you go. I'll be posting some stuff about the Hokies. I'll be posting some stuff about the Cowboys and a lot of other people. You can see some of my more – now, I won't really say unhinged because it's not really unhinged. Why am I not following Ocho? That's one of my favorite guys. He pops up on my feed all the time. I don't know why I'm not following him. But some of my more immediate thoughts on the draft, I'll be posting on over there. And overall, that's just where I like contributing to a lot more discourse over there. I post all of my work, all of my articles for the lead, for SI, for anything that I do is over there on X, Twitter, whatever. Make sure you go down in the description below and follow it. Links for all of those, like you see in the scroller, are down below in the description. Now, getting into why we're here, we've got a whole first round to look at and then a second round to mock. Now, I'm going to be mocking this based off of what I think is going to happen, not what I want to happen. Because if I would do it based on what I want to happen, TreVeyon Henderson would be a Cowboy. But I just don't think that's a possibility where he falls anymore. So let's get into these day one picks. Why not? That's what everybody is really interested in the draft, is the big boys at top. So, starting off with Mr. 101 himself, Cam Ward, representing the ACC. It's the first time in a while I've seen an ACC quarterback drafted this high, and especially the first time in a while that we've seen an ACC player drafted 101. Cam Ward is an interesting pick. He's obviously not the best overall prospect. I think 8th overall is a little bit too high for him in my taste, because I do think this is a skill-heavy class. This is class that's got interesting talent all around, interesting depth all around. But the one thing that the Titans needed here was a quarterback. You cannot go into a division that has C.J. Stroud, that has Anthony Richardson developing, and God, who's the other team in that division? It's the Jags, right? I'm pretty sure it's the Jags. And Trevor Lawrence. You can't go into that division unprepared. You just can't. Cam Ward is interesting just because he has good arm strength. He has good arm angles. He moves out of the pocket a little bit more than Shedeur Sanders does, who did not even get picked in the first round. And if I were to base it based on how much I like Cam Ward, because I do like Cam Ward as a player. I liked him at Miami, even though the Hokies should have won that game against Miami. I will forever be salty about that. I am going to be a little bit real here and say that this is not the best value. I think I'm going to go with a B. Cam Ward's potential is there. He can go out there and have some big games. He needs to get better at addressing the middle of the field. I talked about it yesterday. Some ugly throws in the middle of the field last year at Miami. But Cam Ward, when it comes to stretching the field, he's undoubtedly the best quarterback prospect in this draft, and probably the best guy to stretch the field if you are Tennessee. They need to get him some help, but this is a really good start to their draft. We'll see what they do here on day 2. Travis Hunter, the Jags trading up and getting Travis Hunter. I did not see this coming. I thought Cleveland could trade out, but I thought, if anything, if Cleveland would trade out, they would end up getting Ashton Jeanty. More on that later, but I'm going to give this an A. You gave up a haul. You had to for a player of this caliber, and you're getting, in my opinion, the best player in this draft class. Cornerback, receiver, whatever position he is the best at that position. He is a phenomenal fit over there in Jacksonville. This is probably the best fit for him to be a two-way player, not because they need a wide receiver and a cornerback, but because they desperately need a boundary corner, but they could also get a little bit more help in the open field playmaking and in the red zone. Helping out Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is what they're going to try to do with Travis Hunter. Obviously, he wants to play both ways. I don't know how much he will do that, but either way, I think Travis Hunter will make a phenomenal impact on both sides of the ball. Wherever they put him, Jacksonville is getting a gem. I think this was a smart move. All those Ashton Jeanty smoke screens was great. I love it. The pro comp here as a receiver is Odell Beckham. I'm just going to say Travis Hunter's comp is Travis Hunter. He's one of one. He really is. So yeah, Jacksonville probably getting the best prospect to come through probably since Jalen Ramsey. Based on what we've seen from Trevor Lawrence, this is hands down the best corner prospect they've gotten since Jalen Ramsey. But this is a guy who can have an immediate impact on the defensive side of the ball like he did. Abdul Carter. I said A for Travis Hunter, I'm pretty sure. Abdul Carter, I'm going to go A-. Now, phenomenal athlete, arguably the best player in this class. I've got Travis Hunter right over him, but he's a smidgen over. Abdul Carter dominated at edge in his first year as a full-time edge. He moves all around. He is a phenomenal athlete. He is super freaky. Technically, I don't think he's as good off the edge as Micah Parsons, who a lot of people compare him to. But athletically, he is just like Micah. He is Micah too. that defensive line in New York has easily become my favorite in the league and could rival Philadelphia's next season with the right coaching. Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, super fast. Kayvon Thibodeaux, I think, is fighting for his job right now. And I think we are looking at Kayvon Thibodeaux not being around in a Giants uniform as soon as this year. It could be a trade deadline move. It could be a preseason move. It could be a move that we just don't see them kind of go forward with Kayvon Thibodeaux in the future. But Abdul Carter, the fit is good. He's going to force his way into the rotation because you drafted him third overall, and he's that good of a talent. And I also think this is a good place for him to kind of rehab his injury a little bit more and get to the pace of the league. I'm going to go A-. Will Campbell, A+. Will Campbell is one of the better players in this class. He's one of the blue chip players in this class. I think he's the best tackle. You can say whatever you want about his arms. You can call him a T-Rex. Guess what? The T-Rex was the most feared dinosaur in at least Jurassic Park. I'm not really that big of a dinosaur guy, but I do know I'm a big Will Campbell guy. You can move him on the inside. You can move him on the outside. Wherever he's going to be, he is going to play hard. And I like what he did with his interview, just crying out and saying, I'm going to die for Drake Maye. That's what you want to see out of a guy that's coming in to change the culture of your offense, a guy that's coming in to set the pace. It's a Mike Vrabel pick all the way through, and I love it. I think it's a great pick. It's what they need. Don't overthink it. Don't go out here and be like, oh, we could get a bunch of these skill position guys when you've got Stephon Diggs. You've got guys you still need to develop. What you don't have is a bodyguard for Drake Maye. Will Campbell is just that. I'm going to go A+. Mason Graham. Mason Graham to Cleveland. A lot of people don't love it because, oh, man, you passed up on Travis Hunter and you got Mason Graham? Whoa. Let's not act like Mason Graham's not one of the best players in the class. In my opinion, Mason Graham is 3. I think it's Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Will Campbell, and Ashton Jeanty. That's my top 5. Graham's a dog. He is so good. I can't even comprehend how good he is on both sides of the defensive tackle spectrum. He can get to the pass. He can get to the run. It does not matter. Wherever you put Mason Graham, he is going to eat it up. Big body, ideal size, was the heart and soul of Michigan's championship defense when they won the Big Ten and then won the national championship. I love the fit. And they got a really good package from it. Yeah, you passed up on Travis Hunter, but I don't think you needed to get a Travis Hunter when you've got Denzel Ward and you've got Jerry Jeudy having the season that he did. Yes, it would have helped, but you can still get a guy like Luther Burden at the top of the second. You played your cards really well. Hats off to Cleveland. I'm going to go with an A+. Phenomenal fit for Mason Graham. I love it. Ashton Jeanty, an easy A+ here. You might be thinking, oh my God, A+ can't just be handed out. When you get blue chip guys and they fit perfectly into your team, they're A+. And Ashton Jeanty is just that. The best running back prospect, I think, since Barry Sanders, maybe Reggie Bush, you could throw him in there. But Ashton Jeanty was a record breaker. He is a forcible wrecking ball. You cannot avoid this man. If he sees you in the open field, get on the ground, cry, curl up in a ball, it doesn't matter. Hopefully he just runs over you, not run through you. Las Vegas is going to have their offense built around Ashton Jeanty. And I'm gonna be really excited to see what this offense looks like with Geno, with Ashton, seeing what receiving talent they get on day 2. Love it. A+. Armand Membu, I'm gonna go with a B. I think New York probably would have benefited a little bit more going offense just to benefit not offense. Completely tripped up. I think they would have been better going on defense because I do not like their cornerback room outside of Sauce Gardner, and I think that is the heart and soul of this team. However, protecting Justin Fields, making sure he gets comfortable is smart. Armand Membu is a physical freak. I think he's a little bit more developmental than some people will give him credit for. I think Missouri's offensive scheme made him look a little bit better than he needed to. I don't think he was left on an island as much as Will Campbell is. I think he's an NFL guard. Depends on if New York moves him to tackle or not. It will be very interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna go B with Armand Membu. Teneroy McMillan over here with the Carolina Panthers. They've got probably the biggest wide receiver duo in the league with McMillan and Legette. It angered me just because I wanted him to fall to 12. I knew it wasn't going to happen. I thought there was a chance they might go Jalen Walker. He fell a little bit more because of his injury troubles. Michael Thomas is a very odd pick because Michael Thomas was a route running aficionado. I don't think McMillan is that. I think McMillan is a touch slower than Drake London and maybe not as good of a route runner as Mike Evans is. You might not think of route running when you think of Mike Evans, but he is crafty. There's a reason he's a future Hall of Famer. But Tet is somewhere in he is the only guy outside of Travis Hunter that is an easy wide receiver one in this class. You need that for Bryce Young. You need to expand your offense. And even though he can't move around in and out of the slot, you probably aren't going to use him as creatively as you would a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. You can still do a lot with T-Mac. I'm going to go with a B+ here. I think you could have traded back and probably still gotten T-Mac. I don't think a lot of teams had him this high on their board. But either way, B+, good fit. I like Jalen Walker here a little bit more. I think they need a little bit more help on defense. We'll see what they do day two, just like I'm going to say with a lot of these teams. However, my first sub-B grade here, I'm going to go with a C+ for Kelvin Banks. Another guy that I think you could have traded back and been fine with. Also, he is not the biggest need. I know you want to protect whoever's going to be back there throwing the ball. I wouldn't have thought Shedeur Sanders would have been a bad pick here. But again, that's probably something you could have done in a trade back. I think you should have gone Michael. You could have gone Jalen Walker, Shamar Stewart. I would have thought Tyler Warren would have been a good fit. Colston Loveland could have been a good fit because your tight end room isn't all that great. Yeah, I know you got Taysom Hill, but outside of one game a year, what's the guy going to do for you long term? I think they would have benefited from having a little bit more weapons. However, I do know Kelvin Banks is a good tackle. For me, it just doesn't jump out as a top 10 pick. He just doesn't seem like a top 10 pick. I do like Banks, though. I'm going to improve it from a C+. I'll go B- here with Kelvin Banks. But I do think they could have had a little bit better of a performance on day one. Colston Loveland, I'm going to go B. It was shocking, but it's not a bad pick. I think it's a very interesting fit and probably the best fit he could get because you're going with Caleb Williams. You might have heard of him. Ben Johnson, might have heard of him. All this creativity on offense. Colston Loveland could be their slot. I mean, legit, with how he was used at Michigan, Colston Loveland could be their slot guy. And sorry. But I think it's a good pick. Again, maybe you could have traded back a little bit, but a lot of teams started to get a little bit higher on Colston Loveland. It's a good fit. I'm going to go B again because I do think they have bigger needs on defense. But Loveland, great fit. Top 10's kind of shocking. Top 10's kind of shocking for me, but that's just kind of my personal these are first reactions pretty much, but that's just kind of my personal feelings. Michael Williams. Look, I'm a big Georgia guy. I don't know if you know that, but go Dogs. The one thing I will say about Michael is that I said it yesterday. He is one of the more powerful edge rushers. He is the best run defending edge rusher, and I think San Francisco needs a lot of that. I don't know if I would have had him penciled in this high, but the edge class is so deep, you can move them all around the line. I think, too, injuries kind of clouded over what he could have been in 2024. I think he would have been dominant. Michael Williams to the San Francisco 49ers is annoying because I know, especially with them having, oh my God, the guy that just got fired, Robert Saleh. With them having Saleh back as their defensive coordinator, he's probably going to be a Pro Bowler year one. Michael, I liked a lot. I'm going to go with a B+. Tyler Booker. All right. I was upset with this pick initially, and I still don't love it. However, I think ranking him 51st is kind of harsh. In my opinion, it's kind of harsh. I think Tyler Booker is a top 32 talent. I don't think he's a top 20 talent. He is definitely not a top 12 talent, but he is a good fit. He's a great culture guy. What you've already seen from him is phenomenal. I think he is the guard that you're looking for. He rolls over people. He gets to the second level really well. I liked his tape a lot for some of these teams at the back end of the first, maybe at the top end of the second. Again, at 12, I don't love it, but He's a good fit, and this is probably the best place he could go. I think I'm going to go C+, though. I just don't think it's good value. I think you could have traded back. But looking at how the rest of this draft went, I can understand why they didn't want to trade back because, Seattle would probably take Tyler Booker, and Booker was their guy. They just absolutely fell in love with him, yada, 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 whatever. Take it or leave it. I don't really care. That's kind of the bullshit you got to bite at this point when you're a Cowboys fan. But yeah, C+. It's way too high, but is what it is. Kenneth Grant. Very, very interesting pick. I had Jahad Campbell penciled in here, and we will get to Jahad Campbell. But Kenneth Grant, it makes sense. He's replacing what Christian Wilkins used to be for Miami, and that was a people wrecker. And he was kind of shadowed over from the dominance that was Mason Graham, but he's still a really good defensive tackle prospect. I think I liked Walter Nolan and Derek Harmon a little bit better than Kenneth Grant, but I do still think this is a good pick. I'm going to go B here for Miami. Tyler Warren to the Colts. I'm going to give this an A. Uber talented tight end. He is all over the place. And the creativity you could have with him is beyond my comprehension. And that's just in a regular offense. I will, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I will crap my pants if I see Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor lined up in a dual backfield with Anthony Richardson under center, because either way, your team is going to get ran over. It doesn't matter who they give the ball to. That's kind of scary. That's kind of scary if you ask me. And that's not just kind of scary. That is terrifying. So we'll see what this offense looks like, but it's such a good fit. It's such good value. They didn't even have to move up to get him. Tyler Warren, I'm going to go with an A to the Indianapolis Colts. Jalen Walker, I'm going to give another A here. Walker is so good. He is so unbelievably good. And I think his late injury issues kind of tanked his stock here a little bit. Stupid. You're stupid for letting this guy fall to a team like Atlanta that needs a high-paced, high-value defensive player that is all over the place. He can come off ball. He can line up on the inside at linebacker. He can line up on the edge. It doesn't matter where Jalen Walker lines up. He is going to get in the backfield, or he's going to get to the runner. He's going to get to the receiver. He's going to make plays. He is going to be terrifying. A, go Dogs. Love this pick for Atlanta. Walter Nolan. Good fit. Good pick. Just overall, not a insane pick here, but it's what they need. They went Darius Robinson at the back end of the first last year. You're going to see what you can get from him on the edge. Walter Nolan, he's a guy that can rush the passer almost as well as anybody else. I think Nolan, Norman Lott, outside of Mason Graham, I think you're looking at Nolan and Norman Lott as some of the better pass rushing interior defensive linemen. And I think that's kind of what they need. It's one of their biggest positional needs. Some people were saying receiver here. I think Walter Nolan was an understandable pick, a good value pick, about where you would pick a guy like Walter Nolan. I'm going to go with a B+. I like this fit for the Cardinals. Shemar Stewart, uber athletic. He is so athletic. I have not seen a guy have a pre-draft process as good as Shemar Stewart in a long time. But he does not have a lot of production. He does not have a lot of production at all. But you need something. You need something to look forward to on the edge. Trey Hendrickson, you don't know what that's going to end up turning into. Shemar Stewart, love it. Great pick. I'm going to go with a B+. I would go with an A, but or A-, probably not an A. But then again, the production is still holding him back. I think just what you're getting out of the athlete is enough to go B+ here. This is kind of more reliant on seeing if he can learn something from Trey Hendrickson, if he can develop. Either way, it's what you needed. Gray's Abel, I think this is a guy that was inevitably going to go up in boards, but I still don't think that makes him the value that he was picked at. I'm going to go with a B for Zabel, just because he has that 4 or 5 position flexibility. He's moved all up and down the offensive line. Good size. Tested really well over the offseason. Had a great Senior Bowl. The only thing that you got to think about is he's from North Dakota State. And we have seen some of those outer schools, if you get what I'm saying. And I mean, North Dakota State, they're great in their own world, but who knows what he's going to look like against a bunch of other NFL talent that's from schools like the SEC, the Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, whatever. We will see what that ends up turning into. But I think he is pretty good for what you're getting, and he's probably the best interior guy you could get at this position. That's why I'm going to go B. Not the craziest value here, but it is still an understandable pick. Emeka Egbuka, I didn't understand for Tampa. And I may be one of the only people that are out on this pick. I'm not out on Egbuka when I say this. I think Egbuka is great. I think he's a phenomenal blocker. I think he works at all three levels of the field. I think he's got good enough speed, not blistering speed, but good enough. He's got great hands. He's a great piece to work in the middle of the field. However, you've got Jalen McMillan, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. I understand Mike Evans does not have much long in this league, but you just signed Chris Godwin to a 4-year deal. Jalen McMillan was one of the better slot receivers in the back half of the league last year. I just don't think this was a move you needed to make. I think with some of the guys available on the board, you probably could have gone with Jahdae Barron and gotten a lot out of him. You probably could have gone with James Pierce Jr. There's some great edges available. Mike Green, Donovan Izaraku. These are all guys that you need. Not that just would have been benefited. You didn't need Emeka Egbuka. I don't think the pre-draft process could have been that amazing to where you need someone like him. I don't want to make this seem like I hate Emeka. But me personally, I think this is a C+ pick. I don't love the fact that they shot so high on a guy that they probably could have traded back for, and he wasn't the best receiver available. If you're going to go with a guy to replace someone long-term, a guy like Mike Evans, I think the upside you get out of Matthew Golden is a little bit more convincing here at 19 rather than Egbuka. But he's still a good receiver prospect. I just don't think it's a great fit. He's not going to have that great of a rookie season because he's going to have a lot of people moving in and out. If Tampa Bay deals with some injuries, though, that's probably the only position where he gets shot up. This is not a year 1 value pick. This is a year 2, year 3, year 4 value. And I understand it. You're getting the guy for 5 years if you accept his option. It's understandable. I just don't love it. Jahdae Barron. I was shocked when they didn't go running back here, but this is still a good player. Questionable why they went corner out of everything on defense you could have gone. You probably could have gone with Jihad Campbell. I'm going to say that a lot because I said for so many teams, go Jihad. And they just didn't. I don't know what's wrong with them. But Jahdae Barron is all over the place. He is a nickel. He's a boundary. He's a free safety. He is whatever you want him to be. And I think that fluidity is what made the Broncos go all in on Barron. I like Barron a lot. I think he is a freak. I think he is going to be super successful. And alongside Patrick Surtain, they've got the potential to build one of the best cornerback duos in this league, especially in the AFC. I don't know, especially with the fit, if I love it, but getting Jahdae Barron at 20 is good value. I'm going to go with the B just because there were bigger positions of need, and I don't think corner was your biggest need, but I do think it's really good. I do think it's good value. I'm gonna move it up to B+ because I like Jahdae Barron that much. You get the Brett Holmes tax. Derek Harmon. Now, some tragic news just came out with Derek Harmon, talking about how he went to visit his mom last night in the hospital, who was on life support. Told her that he got drafted to the Steelers, that his dream got true, and his mother, unfortunately, passed away. So thoughts and prayers out to a player that I loved. I love Derek Harmon out of Oregon, and I still do. I think even though you don't go with Shedeur, this is a phenomenal pick. It's a great fit. And for the same reason you're talking about Emeka Egbuka is going to replace Mike Evans, okay, well, you've got bigger needs than going receiver right now. Derek Harmon is going to replace Cam Hayward. Yes, you've got bigger needs, but I still think nose tackle, defensive tackle, wherever you want to put him, is still a big need. And alongside learning from Cameron Ward, you're getting Cameron Hayward. And I don't know why I said Cameron Ward, but Cameron Hayward. You're getting a great player. I think this is a great fit. I think you could have gone running back or quarterback, but at the same time, I like Derek Harmon more than Nolan, and I would take him over Kenneth Grant. I like him here at 21. I think it's a good fit. I'm going to go A-. One of my favorite players in this entire process. He's got plenty to fight into right now, personally, but I know he's going to overcome that with the talent that you see on tape. The Steelers got a great one. Omarion Hampton. God, man. They really just came out here and got LT.2. That's kind of crazy. He's not that good, but he's good. Omarion Hampton's great. I don't think, again, not the biggest need. Could say that a million times. I was expecting them, hey, maybe they go Mason Taylor here, which was a little bit too high for my liking, but I really wouldn't have been surprised. But Omarion Hampton, 22, good value, about where you're going to have him slotted at. Tested great, played great. You can't really look anywhere else. I think it's a B+. I think it's a good pick. They got a dog. Kind of hate that he's not in a Cowboys uniform, but hey, what are you going to do? This one, man, Green Bay just always finds a way to fuck over the Cowboys. Excuse my French, but come on. You're always going to find a way to mess us over. Matthew Golden is all over the place. He is a speedy, very efficient wide receiver, and I think his combination of speed with the hands that he's got makes me terrified that you're pairing him up in an offense that is as good as Green Bay's. I'm going to go A. Good value. I'm not surprised he fell this far, but I do think he was more worth 12 than Tyler Booker. Matthew Golden, he's of course, out of all the times, Green Bay, we're going to go with a receiver now that we're in front of our fans. Get your storylines out of here. You get an A, though. It's a great fit. Donovan Jackson, a little bit high, but I'm a little bit higher on Donovan Jackson than some other people. I'm going to go with a B-, though, because, again, this is a day 2 guy that you got day 1 when you probably really didn't need to, especially when you could have gotten a guy like Malachi Starks or Nick Amanawarye, who's still available, shockingly. I thought Nick Amanawarye was a first-round talent, and he didn't end up being that. But Donovan Jackson, out of Ohio State, going to Minnesota. I said B- because I like the fit, but I don't like the value. I think the fact that he moved from guard and went out to tackle because of what happened with Josh Simmons and his injury concerns boosted his stock greatly, because you love seeing guys that can move around the line, because year 1 might be different from year 2 based on what your needs are. And as long as this guy is great at both of those positions, which I think he's good at both of those positions, I think he's a little bit better on the interior based on his measurements, but I do still think it's a good pick. Donovan Jackson is going in there and protecting J.J. McCarthy, even though it's going to hurt him going from protecting Buckeyes to protecting a Wolverine. But I do think this is a good fit for D-Jack, but not great value. I'm going to go B-. Jackson Dart. Okay. The sexy pick at quarterback, I guess. You want me to be honest? I'm going to go C. I don't know. Because with what they gave up a day 2. I think they gave up 2 day 2 picks. Am I correct in saying that? I think I want to say Jackson Dart got traded for their 2nd and their 3rd. Or maybe they had 2 thirds. I got to check what the compensation is. Checking on a different tab. Traded 34, 99, and a 3rd-round selection in 2026 to move up to the 1st. Now, if you're getting your franchise quarterback, you're going to do that trade, right? If you think he's a franchise guy. I just don't know what in the world makes you think that any of these teams are going to go Jackson Dart. None of these teams are going to go Jackson Dart. Maybe Los Angeles picks him at 25. I don't think they do, though, because I think the guy that they like more is Jalen Milroe. You got to think from Sean McVay's perspective, Jalen Milroe is a phenomenal athlete, but he cannot throw the rock at a pro level. You know who can fix that? Offensive guru Sean McVay, or at least he's got a better chance at doing that, and he's probably going to be more attracted to fixing somebody rather than going out and getting a quarterback that most people view as a day 1 quarterback, but not a great day 1 quarterback. Look, the arm isn't that great. He's got a quick release. He's good when it comes to his mobility, but he plays reckless. He does play reckless. I think when it comes to routine throws, he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. I think he did a good job with doing that, but he is going to put himself in harm's way with the way he runs. Yeah, this feels a lot like Daniel Jones. We'll see what this ends up being. This is really just a matter of if he can get the ball to Malik Nabers and how good Malik Nabers can make him look. Yeah, I don't think this is great value with what they gave up, especially you're giving up a second and 2/3 to move up to the back end of the first. And you're not just giving up a second. You're giving up a valuable second. You do not pick until the third round. I'm more than certain they do not pick until the third round again. So I don't know. I mean, you are getting your guy at quarterback, but I think you're going to be better off rolling with Russell Wilson throughout the year than putting Jackson Dart in. Don't love it. I'm gonna stick with the C. Did I get C minus or C? I'm gonna stick with the C. I'm gonna go C with Jackson Dart. Yeah, and you want to talk about a big time move, giving up a future first to go up and get James Pierce Jr. It hurts the pick here. If the Falcons could have gone up to 26 and gotten this at better value, I would go A, because you're pairing speed with speed and Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. I love the fit here. The compensation is really worrisome for me. That, alongside the fact that you've got supposed character concerns, you don't know what that's going to end up being. Arthur Blank is a good guy to come in and fix those character concerns because of how valued of an owner he is. And Raheem Morris, we don't really know how great of a culture guy he is because he's only been there for a year. Maybe all the character concerns are really just non-factors. Maybe they're minor. Who knows? But in my opinion, I think the compensation really hurts this pick a lot. I'm going to go with a B minus here just because I don't love giving up a future first. I really don't love giving up a future first. But hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But fit-wise, I think this is B plus. I think the compensation does bring it down to there. Malachi Starks, I'm going to go B plus. I don't think this was their biggest need. I think they could have gone edge, defensive tackle, maybe alongside Nnamdi Madubuike. I almost said Nnamdi Asomugha. But I do think they could have gone with a little bit more here for Baltimore. I love Starks though. I can't fight against a dog. I love my Bulldogs. I'm going to go B plus here with Malachi Starks. Tyleik Williams. Big body, people mover. Probably my favorite defensive lineman from Ohio State in this class, alongside JTT and Jack Sawyer. I think Williams makes a lot of sense. I, again, like with the Ravens pick, probably would have gone edge here, but who knows who's going to fall to the back end of the second where Detroit picks again. It's a fine pick. I think it's a little bit too much when it comes to value. I think I'm going to go B minus just because of that. Josh Conerly, I think, is a solid pick. I'm going to go B plus. What you're going to get out of Conerly is a guy who is comfortable blocking the blind side, but you could move him on the inside if you wanted to. I like Conerly a little bit more than like a guy like Donovan Jackson or Gray Zabel. But he falls down here to Washington. I think they get good value. I think he's going to be a very, very solid piece on protecting Jaden Daniels. So I think B plus is a good pick. Maxwell Hairston, I'm going to go with B plus as well. Speedy guy. I think I would have been a little bit more comfortable picking Will Johnson here just because of the length and the technicality that he runs with. But the speed that Maxwell Hairston runs with is kind of undeniable. But yeah, they need corner, good fit. I think I predicted Siobhan Revel here, which is another great athlete. They didn't want to mess around with the injury concerns. I understand it. Good pick here, about around where I wanted Hairston to go. I gotta take a drink before I lose my mind. How do they keep getting away with this? I mean, how? How does Howie keep doing this? Do we want to make him look better than what he actually is? Because I think that's what's happening. We had Nolan Smith fall down after having one of the craziest combines I've ever seen from an edge. And then Jahad Campbell, one of my favorite players in this class, has to go to the Eagles. Not only on top of that, but they've already got half of the Bulldogs I've liked ever because all they draft is from Georgia. And now the one time you don't want to go Georgia is from a player from Alabama that I actually like. They got the player from Alabama that I would have been fine with compared to our player from Alabama. I just can't believe it. I can't believe they keep getting one. It's an A+. What else do you expect? It's an A+. General Jihad, Corporal Campbell. I called him that yesterday. I don't know how. I just don't. And the Chiefs. And the Chiefs. Do you like getting stickled? Do you like just being laughed at? You let them move up for pennies. Why don't you just take Jihad? You probably could have benefited with him alongside Nick Bolton. You know how crazy of a linebacker duo that is. Rather than you picking a guy that doesn't have a shoulder, whatever injury he's dealing with right now. It makes sense. I get it. But come on, you got to be a little bit preventative. These guys just won the Super Bowl, and they got a guy who could go out and be an easy Pro Bowl pick in his first year. Not even just a guy that makes it to the subs. Jihad Campbell in that defensive system could be a Pro Bowl starter. That's how good he is. I hate Howie Roseman. I hate how good they are. I hate it. And it's not even me being, oh, you're pressed. It's not even me being jealous. It's just like, why can't we do that, man? I know why. Because our owner is stupid. Josh Simmons. I just went off about that pick. I do think Josh Simmons is still a good player. He was a guy that the Cowboys were connected to. But I think it was a patellar injury. I can't remember where. Yeah, patellar tendon. That's a bad one. It's a pretty bad one. So that's why he fell. But he's still a good offensive tackle. When he gets healthy, he'll probably be effective for them, yada, yada, yada. I'll probably go with a B. You're not getting that B+ because you traded down. And that might be out of spite, but you know what? Maybe you do deserve it after all that. What you put us through by letting. I can't believe Vic Fangio just got like one of the craziest defensive prospects in this draft class. But that is the first round. God, I'm sitting here. Should I trade my 1-2 for the 1-3 in Denver defense? You talking about dynasty? I'm confused. Oh, I mean, why defense? Why are we trading high picks for? I guess you are swapping from 2 to 3. It really doesn't matter. I guess number one's probably going to be Genty. If you're confident that you can get Tet or Marion, or depending on who the Cowboys draft, if we go with a running back at 2, he's probably going to be the third most valuable just because of the position that he's going to be in. Yeah, if the defense is valued high, Denver's going to have a really good one. You have 1-4 as well. Yeah, if you can get a skill position out of it, or third or fourth, maybe I would try that over going with Denver's defense. I don't know how your scoring format is, but yeah, I don't see the harm in it, and at least you're getting a defense that is going to be good, especially with Barron up there. Yeah, why not? If you're looking for a move, you could add one, or if they don't want to add one, just be like, okay, you can keep Denver if you want. I'll go with a 3 or a 4. It really doesn't matter. All right, our final task of the day. We are already almost an hour into this. We're going to be going through and we're going to mock this second round. We're going to do that. But before we get in, we've got 8 viewers in here, so let's do a little refresh. You see what's scrolling on the bottom. Check down in the description below. Go over there. Follow me on Twitter if you can. That would be much appreciated. I'm going to be going through all of my live thoughts over there on Twitter. I also do a lot of work up here with Sports Illustrated. I cover the Virginia Tech Hokies, anything football, basketball. I love how I just start plugging my stuff before people leave. That's great. But yeah, go down there. Hokies football over there on SI. I write a lot over there. Links in the description alongside with my stuff talking about the Cowboys over on the Lead. All right, now that we got all that out the way, and obviously subscribe, notification, I'll probably say it at the end anyways. So this second round is very interesting, and I'm kind of excited to watch it tonight. I'm excited to see, because I feel like this is where the meat of the draft is. You know, day one, you get your big-time talent, but day two, day three, these are guys that can be Pro Bowl, maybe all-pro level guys, maybe not immediately, definitely with the second and the third, but these are guys that are going to be effective pieces. This is where the value comes in. These are the times where you trade out of the first to double up in the second because you feel like you can get day one guys. And how you can develop some of these guys. These are where more of the projects start going. And sometimes you see successful projects. Sometimes you don't see successful projects. So we will go through. And this is how I think this second round is going to go. Kicking off with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns went with Mason Graham. I think they do not go quarterback here, just because I don't think anybody's going to be moving up and picking a quarterback, and none of these teams here are going to be picking quarterback. Right now, you need a running back. I still think they could benefit from having somebody on the line. I also think their offensive line is something you could be looking at. I don't know if they would love going Ayrton Earson here. Probably would wait a little bit more. Wyatt Milam is a guy I think should be a little bit higher. I like him a little bit more just because Salvaino, however you say his last name, and Marcus Mbo are guys that I think project to be guard. So I don't think they're going to go with offensive line here. But they do need a certain playmaker at wide receiver. I don't know if Burden is the great fit there. I do know who is a great fit, and he is in Cleveland. I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins, probably the best three-down guy that you've got. I think Travion Henderson is a better receiving back, and I think he's a better pass protector. But Cleveland likes getting their helmet down and running through the defensive line. I think Quinshon Judkins is the best player available that will do that for them. Now, the Giants traded this pick to go get Jackson Dart, and here sit the Houston Texans. They need offensive line so bad. But then again, they backed themselves into a corner where a lot of people have picked offensive line, and I don't know if they're going to go O-line. Now, with the people that are here on the board, I don't know who the Texans are in love with, but I would not be surprised if it's Luther Burden. I also wouldn't be surprised if they want a bigger body outside of Nico Collins to go down there and get the ball. Jake Besh had a phenomenal pre-draft process. I think he's a guy that could be talked about here at this pick. I'm not entirely sure who they visited with. I'm honestly going to go look that up, because sometimes day two you can see a little bit better insight with some of these picks based on who they got. So, I mean, they brought in Isaiah Bond to get this ad off of my screen. Luckily, y'all can't see it. They brought in Isaiah Bond, DeLavion Campbell. Oh, wait, no, he was a pro day guy, I think. But, yeah, I mean, they like Matthew Golden. Don't think they can get him anymore, obviously. He's not on the board. But I also wouldn't be shocked if, Burden is sitting here and they can't say no. And I think he's one of those guys that you've got to imagine out of all the teams that needs a wide receiver, it would be him. I don't think they would expect Burden to still be available here, so I'm going to go with him. It's annoying how good of a fit that is, because once they get Tank Dell back, they're going to have, once again, one of the best wide receiver corps in the league. And they still got Christian Kirk, who's great out of the slot. But I don't know how long Tank Dell is going to be out. Tank Dell might not see the field in 2025 based on how ugly that injury was. All right, Tennessee. Obviously, they went with the number one overall pick, Cam Ward. What you got there? I think they're a little bit mad that their divisional rivals got the receiver that they probably would have gone with here. There's probably a good reason why Houston moved down. So with Tennessee, I mean, hell, I wouldn't be shocked with the amount of times that Cleveland has moved if Tennessee wants to jump in front of them just to make sure they get that wide receiver. That would be interesting, but we're not going to do trades here. I don't think you think about this for too long. Mike Green's on the board. You get Mike Green. You need an edge. You need somebody there. And I think he is more than just that somebody. Again, Sunbelt guy. You don't know what that transition from Sunbelt competition to NFL competition is going to be, but you know what the tape shows and what his pro day and everything from his pre-draft process shows is that he gets to the quarterback, and that's all you need. I don't know if the Cleveland Browns should go Shedeur Sanders here. I don't think they're going to. They went with running back. I think they could still go with somebody on the defensive line. Wouldn't be shocked if edge is a pick here. However, I also wouldn't be shocked if they just bite the bullet and go with Shedeur. But I know down the board, they probably like, knowing the Browns, they probably love Quinn Ewers for some reason. Brady Cook might be a guy that they love just because he can run the ball a little bit, I guess. Maybe Tyler Shaw, or Shaw, however you say that name. I don't think it's Shedeur. I really don't think it's Shedeur. Will Johnson's interesting. Same thing with Trey Amos. Maybe a safety would work out here. You know what? I was about to say, I don't know if the Browns still have do they still have Juan Thornhill? Because I think Juan Thornhill was their starter. But as of right now, I'm not entirely sure if he's still on the team. I mean, you don't really have a great starter at a free safety. You got Grant Delpit in there that's coming off a pretty good year, I think. Free safeties, if we're looking at the guys that are available, dude, uber athlete could probably move all over the place no matter where you would want him. He's going to be there on the field. I don't know if they would move. I don't know if they would love him as a free safety, but Kevin Winston, I think he's more of a box guy, though. I think Kevin Winston's more of a box guy. Let's see if they say anything about. I mean, he's got a good pass coverage, and he's lanky. I wouldn't be shocked if they go safety here. I really wouldn't. Xavier Watts is definitely a guy that moves in and out of the box. I think he'd be a little bit better as. They have him locked in as a free safety. I thought he'd be a good strong safety. You know what? Let's have fun. Let's go with Xavier Watts here. I like Xavier Watts a little bit better than this big board does. I like the safeties usually a little bit better than some of these big boards go. But yeah, I think Xavier Watts to the Cleveland Browns is a pretty good pick. I think it's a pretty good fit. I'm going to stop playing around. Shedeur Sanders to the Las Vegas Raiders. Great value. I like Shedeur a little bit more than other people. Shedeur, whatever his name is. He's on perfect timing. Bust down his AP in Las Vegas. Pairing him with Ashton Jeanty is going to be fun. He's going to see what he can do developmentally alongside Geno Smith. This would be the perfect kiss of death to Geno Smith's career. He gets some sort of injury, and Shedeur comes in and absolutely eats it up. But I think right now this is the favorite for where he's going to go. I could see it. And I mean, with some of the defensive interior guys that are on the board, you could go with someone like Amon Norman Lott. You could go with Darius Alexander. TJ Sanders is a good guy. There's a significant drop-off in their eyes. But I think Alfred Collins, Shamar Turner are definitely in play here. Knowing the Raiders, they'll just go with whoever they want. But they might just want Shedeur. And they might go out there and just get their, quarterback of the future. Even though Geno Smith is still a good quarterback and they are looking to extend him, I think they did give him an extension. They might have given him an extension. But then again, they also – it's only a 2-year extension. And, I mean, it's a 2-year extension, and, I mean, Kirk Cousins got a 4-year deal, and then they draft their quarterback that same year. So you never know. I think this is pretty believable for me. For the New England Patriots, you went with your bodyguard. I love the pick with Will Campbell, one of my only A-pluses of the draft. Now, you could go running back. There's some guys here that I think could benefit from. However, you're going to protect, but you also got to give him guys to create with. I think Elik Ayomar, good physical guy. I think if you're going to go with physicality, though, you're going to look towards Jaden Higgins, and I think that would be an entertaining pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with speed. I also wouldn't be surprised if they go with tight end. Mason Taylor still on the board, Elijah Arroyo. I think what you do need is somebody that can come in there and make plays. And I think through this process, the amount of processes that Vrabel has gone through, he usually tends to go towards those physical guys, and Higgins is just that. Excuse me. The Bears. Who are the Bears going to go with here? So I really liked the Loveland fit. I don't know if he was a guy that was worthy of the top 10, but you're not going to be worried about fit here. You're going to be worried about whatever you want to go with. I think Ben Johnson has made that perfectly clear. You need to get to the quarterback, but then again, you could be worried about New Orleans maybe going running back. I don't know why, because they've got Kendre Miller, who could still be something, and you want to see what he's got. And I think they've got bigger needs. They haven't even addressed the defensive line. I think if I'm the Bears, I'm more worried about the Saints picking a defensive lineman ahead of us at 41 that we really love compared to them going with somebody else. And you look at some of the defensive linemen on the board, they are very enticing. Donovan Izaraku, Landon Jackson, Nick Scorton. I think on the interior, you've got Darius Alexander, Amar Norman Lott. Norman Lott is a guy that can really get to the quarterback, and that's something that I think they are trying to value. But I'm going to go with the guy that had 16 and a half sacks at Boston College, and that's Izaraku. I think he fits a little bit into the same conversation as Mike Green, where he's been productive over the last couple of years and one of the more productive edge rushers in college football. And that's kind of what his resume is built off of. The size is good. One of the best graded guys in there. Little bit undersized, but I think his arm size kind of makes up for it a little bit. He doesn't do anything super great when it comes to his speed, but he's a power rusher. A lot of those guys tend to fall down the boards, but they can still be very productive. You compare the speed with Montez Sweat and the power that you can get with Donovan Izaraku, I think it's a really good edge duo. The New Orleans Saints, probably a little bit mad that he's fallen this far. However, there's another guy that has fallen this far that should not be here. And if there's any need bigger than defensive line, that the New Orleans Saints are sitting here saying, okay, well, I mean, probably the guy that we would pick over him is gone. Let's just go out there and get our CB1 of the future in Will Johnson. The injury concerns are there. The speed concerns are there. But you ain't worried about his IQ. Will Johnson is a smart corner. He is a very, very smart corner. If Mason Graham was not the MVP of that national championship defense from 2023, it would be Will Johnson. Will Johnson was considered the CB1 over Travis Hunter at one point because of how good of a cornerback he was. 2024 hurt his stock a lot, but I think this would be a no-brainer if you are Kellen Moore and the New Orleans Saints. The Chicago Bears, I mean, they didn't have to worry about running back or defensive line going in front of them. They could still go D-line here. Even though they don't pick for a little while, I do still think they pick towards the top of the third round. And I really wouldn't be shocked if they're just like, why don't we double dip? Why don't we double dip? Because we know there's really good running backs. We know there's guys that they love down this board. I just really don't. I have no idea. They already got their guy on defense. I know he probably doesn't. Ben Johnson, that is, probably doesn't love DeAndre Swift because he's ditched him in the past. And if we're talking about a guy that's got the best 3-down possibility here available on the board, you're going with Henderson or you're going with Caleb Johnson. I think the way that he loves running the ball, you've already kind of got that receiving back in DeAndre Swift. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. I think Caleb Johnson is a guy that could definitely do it here for the Chicago Bears. Now, for the New York Jets, I think they were kind of hoping Shedeur would fall down and create that competition with Justin Fields. They went with Armand Bimbu earlier. They could look to add a receiver option into that room. I think it'd be really, really interesting if they went with a guy like Trey Harris, Kyle Williams maybe. They could also look to go defense. I don't think they do. I think they go wide receiver. And as of right now, the guy that I like the most to be a complimentary receiver to Garrett Wilson's game, it's got to be Jack Bech. It's got to be Jack Bech. This is a guy that goes all over the place. When you snap the ball, Jack Bech is going to get open. At least that's what he showed at TCU. He was the lead guy there alongside Savion Williams, but Savion was more of a dynamic playmaker when it came to running the ball and receiving. Bech was the main receiver. Showed out at the Senior Bowl, has had a really good pre-draft process. Interviews have gone really well, and I wouldn't be shocked if they look at the available options and probably between Bech and Kyle Williams here, and they go with the guy that at least played against a little bit better competition than Williams did, and Jack Bech. The San Francisco 49ers could really go with anything on defense or on the offensive line. Based on the linemen that are available here, I don't know if they really act blue. Why am I getting all these stupid ads, man? I'm over here thinking it's something important, and I'm getting stupid text spam ads. I think the Niners are in a very interesting spot here. Defensively, I don't know if you can go anything outside of corner or safety with what you've lost. And as of right now, I love Siobhan Revel. I love Siobhan Revel a lot. And that's a guy that the Cowboys have loved a lot, who are on the clock here at 4. Now, if I am the Dallas Cowboys, you know what I'm going with here? I am running to the podium and I'm saying TreVeyon Henderson. However, I think we're going D-line. More importantly, I think we're going to go in the interior. And there's a couple of guys here on the board that I know they like a lot. I'm not entirely sure if they've brought him in for a visit, but Amar Norman-Lott would be interesting if they didn't re-sign Osa Odigizua. This would annoy me a lot if they did this, just because they are two pass-rushing defensive tackles. You don't need that. You need a guy that can stop the run a little bit. And I'm not sure. I'm going to double-check and see if he went to a visit with Dallas or not. Oh, he did. He did recently have a pre-draft visit. Out of Toledo, I'm going to go with Darius Alexander here. Darius Alexander was a guy that was talked about as a first-round pick, and Dallas has talked about them being a little bit reluctant to go with talent early on, even though they were like, oh, we just love a wide receiver. We need wide receiver at 12. That was a damn lie. That was a lie. We all know it. So now that you've got Dallas going with Darius Alexander, the Colts are in a really interesting position here to go with whoever they want on defense, on the defensive side of the ball, because they went with Tyler Warren. I think the guys that are available are interesting when you look at linebacker. Carson Schlesinger is a guy that was talked about in first-round regards. I do not think Demetrius Knight is this high. I think Demetrius Knight is a round 3, round 4 guy. You could also look at edge and see what you got in Nick Scorton. Landon Jackson is a guy I like a lot. JTT, Princely Umailian. I don't know. I probably butchered that. Like I said, really deep edge class. I don't think they go with any of those guys, though, because there is an insane athlete still on the board, and Nick Amata-Warrior. This is a first-round guy that I just don't think could fit on any of these teams over the fit, just because, I mean, the only other team he could fit with is Cleveland, but I do think they're a little bit more in on seeing what they can get out of Grant Delpit right now, and Xavier Watts penciled in at free safety, probably what they could go with there. I think Nick Amata-Warrior would be such a good fit in Indianapolis. And Indianapolis is hitting it out of the park with this pick. With their first 2 picks, phenomenal. Los Angeles, they got this pick with their late trade with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons went up and they got James Pierce Jr. The Rams are sitting here and looking at, oh my God, what do we do? I mean, do we go linebacker? Like I just mentioned, Carson Schlesinger still on the board. Good. Do we get creative? Do we go Jalen Milroe? Oh, that would be so. They're not doing that. Come on. Benjamin Morrison's still on the board. You're going to take Benjamin Morrison. The only reason he's still available is because he got injured last year. He was projected to be one of the best corners in college football based on his play before he transferred to Notre Dame. And I think he can come in and be a really productive piece, and they need corner bad. Arizona went with the interior defensive line, another team that really needs corner right here. They could also look to go with interior offensive line or go with the edge of their defensive line. Either way, they're going with somebody in the trenches. That's what it seems like. Corners are kind of interesting. I think Azari Thomas is interesting here. Same with Trey Amos. They don't really have that alpha on the outside. They've got a good guy in the middle. And God, what's that guy from Syracuse? Garrett Williams, I think that's his name. But I like him in the nickel. So I think they've got at least their slot corners are locked down. But you never know. You need somebody on the back. You need somebody to help out Budda Baker in that secondary. And I think Trey Amos could be that guy for them. Now, Miami, you were the guys I thought were going to pick Jahad Campbell, and you didn't do that, and you let him fall all the way down. That's bad. But do I mess around and screw you over here? No, I'm not that petty. This is another team that could go corner, especially with the loss of both of your top defensive backs last year in Javon Holland and now Jalen Ramsey could be a potential loss. I guess it's not with the loss of both of those guys. But Javon Holland, he went elsewhere. He went to New York. And now Jalen Ramsey could be on the move. We could see back-to-back corners here. I wouldn't be shocked if they go Darian Porter. Lanky, fast guy would be a really, really interesting guy. He's a little bit older. Azari Thomas, another really interesting guy here for Miami. I'm going to go with Darian Porter, though. Like I said, really good athlete. I think probably redshirted because of injury, but was probably a starter for at least the last couple of seasons with how well he's talked about with Iowa State. Sorry, I'm not an Iowa State ball knower, but I do know from an athletic standpoint, Darian Porter is of good value there at 48. They went with Shamar Stewart, the Bengals, in the first round. I think they could double up on defensive line And right now, the guy that stands out to me that should be on the board is Amar Noman-Lott. And I think these are two really, really good ways to counteract what you're losing potentially in a pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson. You go out there and you get Noman-Lott. He's getting to the quarterback. Now, the Seattle Seahawks could come in and they could shake things up. They could be like, you know what? Well, maybe Sam Darnold ain't the guy. Maybe we go Jalen Milroe. No, I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that just yet. I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to go until the third round. Unfortunately, it would be fun if they did, but I do not think that is going to happen. But I do think they could double up on their line, because I think whatever side Gray's Abel's going on, he needs a tackle right next to him. You could look at Ayrton Irsay, maybe Ozzie Trapillo. I think he's a guy that can move on the inside. Wyatt Milam too. He could fall down. You also look at the edges that are available, and that could really benefit if you go with your defensive line. And I like Landon Jackson a lot. I think the film on Landon Jackson is great. I think the testing came out great. I think a really good combine. I don't think he should fall this far in any other class, but who knows? The bald guy from where I know he's from Arkansas, but I'm pretty sure he's from Texarkana. I think like that weird like middle area. I think that's where he's from, but I like him a lot. I think Landon Jackson's a good day two guy. That water is gone. I haven't even finished my protein shake. It's like making my like throat itchy. I don't know why. Maybe they put peanuts in it. I'm allergic. What are you talking about? Let's talk about the draft. The Broncos, 51. They didn't go running back earlier. They're sure as hell going to go running back right now. TreVeyon Henderson, easiest pick you could make. That is the easiest pick out there. The Seattle Seahawks picking again. I think this time around they probably go offensive line. If they didn't go interior, Tate Ratledge would be interesting. I'm going to shoot my shot and go with a guy I like a lot in Wyatt Milam. Now that rhymed. That was kind of cool. Shoot my shot, guy I like a lot. Tampa Bay. They went with wide receiver when I thought they should have gone defense. You can't make that mistake again. Nick Scorton's on the board. Take him at 53. Green Bay. They went with wide receiver. Finally, took them long enough. Of course, it had to be the guy that was everybody was saying was a Cowboy. He's going to pick a 12. Whatever. Have your fun, I guess. Is it fun to have fun? It's not fun to have fun over here in Dallas. Anyways. God. You can tell it's getting to the end of the stream. Yeah, Green Bay, I think they could look to get a little bit of help opposite of their guy. I'm going to go with Azare Thomas out of Florida State. Los Angeles Chargers. I think tight ends probably in play here. I mean, you looked at what they did and went out and got Amari Hampton. They're probably just looking to bolster up that, or they could bolster up their defensive line. They could go on the interior. TJ Sanders is a really good player, but I think they could wait on Alfred Collins and Shamar Turner maybe, or maybe wait on TJ Sanders and see if he falls into the third. I don't think they can wait on a guy like Mason Taylor, though. Really good tight end prospect. Love the tape on Taylor. He's got Jason Taylor as his father. He's got those rich NFL roots. And even though they couldn't get Loveland in the first round, it would have been Storybook. From Michigan to Harbaugh would have been Storybook. I think Mason Taylor would be a really good fit in that Greg Roman offense. Now, Buffalo picks here. They went corner at the back end of the first. I think this is a really good spot for an edge or a linebacker to land. I'm going to go with a linebacker and land with Carson Schwessinger here to pair alongside Matt Milano, an aging Matt Milano who has dealt with some injury problems. I think this is a pretty good insurance plan for that. Carolina, I don't think they picked earlier. No, they did not. Carolina is getting this pick at the back end of the second, and I don't think they can afford to not go defensive line here. You've got really interesting options, like I've said a million times. Very, 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 very deep edge rush class. Braden Swinson is not a guy that I'm drawn to as much as everybody else. Sure, good productive. He's got the speed, but I think he can get a little bit out of there. And there's just some plays that I see from him that I don't see from guys like Princely Uomah-Leon, who was one of the better edge rushers in football last year. However, I don't know if I should go with something interesting. I don't know if I should go with something that's a little bit more out there. I don't think he should be on the board anymore. I really don't think he should be on the board anymore. And I think that's something that they're going to realize here in Carolina. I'm going to go with JT Tuimoloau. I think this is a guy that stood out a little bit more for me than Jack Sawyer. And he's a guy that can get on the edge and he can cause some disruption, and that's what you need right now. You might not be able to move him around as much as you could if you would have went Jalen Walker in the first round, but I do still think you can do a lot of work with him and get a little bit more creative with him. Umalian, good fit. Swinson, good fit. I wouldn't blame them if they went with him at 57. I like JTT just a little bit more. Now, with the Houston Texans, I don't think I told them to go off. I told them. What am I talking about? I don't think they went offensive line earlier. I think I had them going Burden. I do think they go offensive line here. Based on the guys that they've got available, they need anybody. The guy that I like the most here is Ayrton Irsay. Over Tate Ratledge. I know. I love my dogs usually, but Ratledge, I don't think. I think with him being penciled in as a guard and Ayrton Irsay having a little bit more flexibility, the Texans need that. They need a lot of that right now on that offensive line. And Irsay was a former first-round guy. Kind of dropped down a little bit after having a lackluster pre-draft process, but I still think this is a pretty good pick for them. Good fit for both the Texans and Irsay. Now, the Ravens bolstering up. I mean, they could double up on DB and go with corner here because there are still some good. I like Dorian Strong, of course, Gokies. I think they're probably going to wait on corner. Let's be real. They probably wait on corner a little bit here. They go with defensive line here. I think they can benefit from having a guy that's a little bit more athletic. And if we're talking about athletic, I think Swinson is the guy. You're not expecting him to come in and be a playmaker down to down like you would JTT or maybe Princely. But I think Swinson fits into what they need. And they just need a guy that moves all around and gets into the rotation. And I think Baltimore could have a really interesting rotation on edge, adding him to the mix. Now, Detroit, I thought was going to go edge. They went with defensive interior. Beyond me, because they've got Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader, great defensive tackles. Don't know why you need another, but, go off, I guess. Will Campbell, kneecaps. Yay, whatever. Apparently, they're shopping Jameson Williams, allegedly. Maybe that could be a guy that gets moved today. I don't think so. I think this is where we're going to see Princely go. They need an edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. I explained it in the mock draft, but I think having a guy opposite of your top guy coming back from injury is more important than ever. With Washington, they had a pretty good pick. I like their pick in Josh Connerly. I think they go defense here too. I wouldn't be shocked if they go safety, and the safety I like the most here. I don't know. I do like Andrew Makuba though. I do like him out of Texas. There's some good guys down the board that I like too. Billy Bowman, not bad. Sebastian Castro, I think has fallen down a little bit. Jonas Sanker, hate UVA, but he's not a bad player. But I'm gonna go with the guy that could probably make the most plays for them in the secondary, and that's what they need right now. I'm gonna go with Kevin Winston Jr. Washington usually does good with their safety prospects, and I think this is a guy that they could be drawn towards. The Buffalo Bills. The Bills sitting here after picking – who did I have them going earlier? After picking Carson Schlesinger alongside Matt Milano and then having Maxwell Hairston back there, they could look to go something on offense. Maybe, just maybe they could go running back. I don't think that would happen. I think they've got enough there. If you pay James Cook, you should. But you've got enough there, even if James Cook decides to sit out. I think you'll be fine with Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. Or going out and getting a guy maybe later in the draft. But what you can't afford is not having your guys to get to the pass, to get to the quarterback. And I think that's what they're going to emphasize in this draft is defense, 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 defense. And so far with the guys that are available, I think Olu Oladejo. I'm not going to try to Oluwafemi. Is it Oluwafemi? I think it's Oluwafemi. Whatever. That's a dope name. It's a dope name, and I think it would look great in Buffalo blue. Kansas City. Kansas City here is probably going to mess around and just give this pick to the Eagles for no reason after what they did in the first round. But they went with tackle earlier in Josh Simmons. I think they could double up and go with an interior guy, and I'm going to have them doing that in Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. The mullet man madness out of Georgia goes to Kansas City. That kind of sucks for me because I don't love the Chiefs. But, Ratledge, whatever. Go ahead. Go off. I think it's a good fit for him. And then the Eagles. God, I mean, honestly, they could go anything here. They could really go anything. They went with a linebacker. They could go get corner again. They could go get edge here. I think they would wait a little bit, maybe try to wait and see if Savion Jones goes a little bit down, maybe Jordan Birch. I like those guys late round. I don't know what Jack Sawyer is going to be. I have no idea what Jack Sawyer is going to be, but he's a name. Kyle Kennard, maybe. Josiah Stewart, maybe. I don't think Jared Ivey. I would have those two over Josiah and Kyle Kennard. I think they could wait on edge a little bit because but they do have 30 picks there, so they could just go ahead and take their guy. I think they're going to just go with defensive line and just go with that and leave it at that and get what they know they need. They could go defensive interior, though, just to mess around because Jordan Davis is rotating in and out a lot, and they lost Milton Williams. I'm going to have them go TJ Sanders. Whatever. Let's go TJ Sanders. You never know. I mean, they're so good on both sides of the ball. You could go with anything there. But that is – where did it go? Oh, my God. I can't even go back and look at it. Okay, whatever. That was my round 2 mock draft. We are 30 minutes away from day 2 starting here. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap this one up, coming in at just under an hour and 20. It felt longer than that. I'll tell you that. It felt longer than that. But we got a lot to talk about tomorrow, probably, maybe. I don't know what we're going to be talking about when that time rolls around. But for sure, I'm going to be doing a stream talking about my different draft grades for all these different teams. Really entertaining night. Like I said, make sure you go over to Twitter, X, whatever. Follow me over there if you want to know what my immediate reactions are if you're watching this live, or if you want to look back and see how much I overreacted or underreacted, whatever it ends up being. God knows what this team's going to do to me tonight. But hopefully we do something smart. So have a good night. Hopefully, day 2 was a little bit more kind to me. And if not, maybe day 3 will be a little bit more kind. Who knows? I'm frozen. Can y'all still see me? Y'all can? Oh, my God. I thought it just crashed. All right. Anyways, you're not going to mess up my outro, I guess. For those who are watching after the stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, notifications, everything. Check out the links down in the description. It's much appreciated. And I will see you on the next episode of the Holmes Field Advantage. Peace.